Chapter 11 Contact Madness. Con, EW, I have a new sensor contact bearing 113-20, designated Sierra 22. New sensor contact bearing 109-34, designated Sierra 23. Con, CIC, I have a new contact bearing 091+04, designated Sierra 24. Con, radio, I know! Ino cried out. We're in a traffic jam! The Marathon had arrived at Quantum Crossing Habitat Station, but docking was going to be another story. Contact with the Harbor Master has been tenuous at best, said Lieutenant Ndungane. As best I can tell, there are some 400 to 500 starships either entering or departing Quantum Crossing in the next hour. I thought starports got quiet during severe weather, Ino commented. Why the high traffic? She looked around the bridge and found Rylan, who was poring over the sensor display with a confused expression. I am perplexed, Rylan admitted. This appears to be an evacuation. Since we came within range of short-range sensors, I've seen a constant flow of civilian shuttlecraft moving between the harbor and starships in orbit. The habitat station was roughly 500 kilometers across, about the size of a large asteroid or perhaps a small dwarf planet. Ino tried to imagine how many people could be living in such a large orbital metropolis, and then she tried to imagine just what it would take to fully evacuate the station. Ino shuddered. Let's assume we won't be able to dock with Quantum Crossing, Ino said, looking over the sensors. Where's a spot we can land the shuttle? Someplace where we can quickly get in touch with the local authorities. The station administrator lives near the core. No matter where you land, you'll have to ride for a few hours on the mass transit system. The vessel lurched under everyone's feet. Ino swore. Sorry, said Acting Ensign Yamada. We almost hit a Caravaneer ship. They're all over the place. What happened to space being vast? Ino said. There can't be that many... Oh my God! She had moved to join Rylan at the sensors display. A veritable cloud of spacecraft was swarming around the many docking bays of the habitat station. Hundreds of civilian vessels were moving in a seemingly chaotic fashion. Good news, Captain, said Lieutenant Ndungane. That near miss got the attention of Space Traffic Control. They're hailing us. About time, Ino said. Transmit a response and open communications. They're asking for a video conference, Ndungane said. I'm splitting the view screen. Left-hand side is going to be Bash Loris, current administrator of Quantum Crossing. Right-hand side will be Harbor Master Ayla Zane. They'll be ready in about 5 minutes. Ino pointed at Rylan. My ready room, now. Ino and Rylan ducked into the captain's ready room. Do you know either of those names? Ino asked. Rylan nodded. Loris and I are from the same sect, the Choir of the Mind. Sect? Ino repeated. In your society, the word faction would be more appropriate, Rylan explained. Remember, in my civilization, government and religious institution are the same. There are 4 sects, or factions, in our civilization. Choir of the Mind, Fellowship of the Hammer, Templars of Steel, and Commune of Toil. Loris and I are from the Choir, which is devoted to supporting the growth and development of the scientific community. He and I supported Drex Astor during the last democratic consensus. Ino understood the last part of his sentence. Rylan and Administrator Loris had helped the current ruler of Savassia win the recent election. Loris is a career politician and deeply devoted to the Fusion Interlink. He is a full cyborg and wants everyone else to be cyberized as well. He looks down on people who aren't willing to cyberize, so I strongly recommend you make up a story about how you're planning to get some kind of implant. I can do that, Ino said. Always wanted to have a cybernetic implant anyway. What about the Harbor Master, Zane? Ayla Zane. I don't know her personally, but I've heard members of the choir complaining about her. She's with the Commune of Toil, who oversee workers and laborers. Rylan leaned in closer and whispered, Zane is one of the last private business owners in the sector. She owns a fleet of replenishment vessels, refueling and resupplying the space stations around the system. The allegations of corruption are unproven. Corruption? Ino repeated. Unproven, Rylan emphasized. Ino nodded. Ino and Rylan were back on the bridge in moments. At Ino's signal, the view screen activated. An augmented Savanti man appeared on the left side of the screen, while an unmodified Savanti woman appeared on the right. This is Acting Captain Ino Esperanta of the Coalition warship Marathon, requesting permission to dock with Quantum Crossing for repair and resupply. Honored greetings, Coalition warship, said Administrator Loris. I apologize for what you must have perceived as willful disregard. We are currently in the process of evacuating our people to safer space. The Administrator tilted his head. Captain Quinn, honored greetings. Where is Adimash? Derelict in the Imaka system, Rylan replied. We got caught in the bow shock of this storm. Captain Esperanta of the Marathon rescued my crew. All of my people are now aboard this ship, which is badly damaged and in need of repair, urgently. Harbormaster Zane raised her eyebrows. Captain Esperanta, how many passengers and crew on your ship? 2,847 humans, 315 Savanti, 90 military androids, 2 civil androids, 1 astrophyton, and a partridge in a pear tree, Ino said. Harbormaster Zane snapped her fingers. Her eyes had lit up as though a sudden bolt of realization struck her. I understood that reference. Administrator, give me 2 hours and I'll have a berth for the Marathon. The Administrator startled. His expression shifted to one of great surprise. Harbormaster, you told me that we needed to prioritize a berth for the caravan schooner, he said. Harbormaster Zane shook her head vigorously. You don't worry about that, sir. I'll make this happen. Just tell the Caravanseers to give me a call right away. And without waiting for a response, Harbormaster Zane disconnected from the conference call. The Administrator stayed on the line just long enough to make arrangements for an in-person meeting with Ino. Then he transmitted details regarding the ongoing evacuation. The cosmic storm is reaching severity unlike anything we've seen before, Administrator Loris explained. We have lost all contact with the central government on Sevasia, so I've made a unilateral decision to evacuate everyone to Binary Basin. My harbor master, who just dropped off the call like a skittish space amoeba, called up her contacts in the Caravanseers. That's why our skies are so full right now. As soon as the call was over, Ino demanded silence on the bridge. The bridge crew saw that she was now visibly uncomfortable. Ino looked up and spoke to one of the intercom speakers on the ceiling. CIC, this is the CO. I want you to gather up everything we know about the Caravanseer fleet sharing our space right now. I expect to receive a classified information briefing in the CIC 1 hour from now. Sota and Rylan looked at Ino. When I was at officer training school, I remember the Commandant saying something about the Caravanseers, about how their fleets are different from each other, and that you have to do your homework each time you meet one, Ino explained. Beninato, you're coming to the classified briefing. An hour later, Ino and Sota arrived in the new CIC, a few decks below the bridge. Just before the classified information briefing began, Prisbin stood up and barked an order to all of the other tactical officers. If you do not have a top-secret security clearance, get the fuck out of my CIC. The room cleared. In moments, the only people left in the CIC were Prisbin, Ino, Sota, and 3 other tactical officers. Prisbin called up a holographic display that filled the room. Ino looked around to see she was standing in the middle of an order of battle diagram, showing detailed information about every vessel that made up the Caravanseer fleet. Prisbin launched into his briefing. The Caravansary Caravan Coalition, headquartered at Shore's Compass, consists of 3 fleets: the Numistic Order, Racket Industrial Enterprise, and the Vengralian Triumph. All 3 fleets roam the galaxy, trading with whoever they find. The Rackets peddle in both natural and strategic resources. The Numistic Order is a religious group. They trade in archaeotech, which is technology left behind by precursor species, alien races who died out eons ago, like the Voltom, Irasians, Cybrex, Droni, and Initians. Sota frowned. Do you think the Numistic Order knows anything about Azarin's people? That's a good question. I'll do some digging, Prisbin said. But it might not be relevant for a while. The Caravaneer fleet buzzing around us right now isn't the Numistic Order, and it's not the Rackets either. We're dealing with the Triumph. Ino noticed the expression of disgust on Prisbin's face. The chief tactical officer took a deep breath and pressed on. The Vengalian Triumph is known for selling goods and technology related to colonization, terraforming, and healthcare. But the thing is, Prisbin trailed off. Ino groaned. Now that Prisbin was starting to describe the Triumph, Ino's memory was jogged. It is extremely common for the Triumph to demand sentient life forms as payment for their services, Prisbin went on. Coalition intelligence has flagged the Triumph and its associates as being a major player in the illicit trafficking of sentient life forms and the interstellar slave trade. Shit, Ino said. I was worried we might run into these guys. About 2 hours later, Marathon slowly maneuvered into the habitat station. Numerous docking ports and airlocks deployed, connecting to the ship as she was secured in her moorings. While the ship's internal atmosphere and gravity were matched to the surrounding space dock, Ino and Sota found Elodie. Hey, Elodie, remember when I said I wanted you to take charge of security? Ino asked. Elodie nodded, nervously putting one hand on her pistol holster. Well, I've got a security job for the both of you, Ino said. I'm going to talk to the local authorities, get our ship fully repaired so we can fight our way back to Earth. In the meantime, you need to know that this habitat station is gonna be crawling with slavers and traffickers from the Vengralian Triumph. Beninato, take a census. I want full accountability of everyone on this ship. Liechtenstein, I want you to control access to the ship as tightly as possible. No one comes or goes without you knowing about it. Am I clear? Elodie nodded her understanding and then grabbed her radio. Marines, this is your acting OIC. I want a full security lockdown at all access points. Hangar bays, airlocks, maintenance hatches, everything. I want every entry-exit point on the ship under 24/7 surveillance. Squad leaders, refer to the area of responsibility chart. Make it happen. Finally, after nearly 5 hours of delays, Ino and Rylan were the first 2 members of the crew to disembark and set foot in the Quantum Crossing space dock, followed shortly by a squad of human space marines. Ino's worst fears were confirmed almost immediately. The starport was crowded with people. Tens of thousands of Savanti civilians were waiting for their turn to board an evacuation vessel. However, amidst the crowd, Ino and Rylan could see a cadre of men in military uniforms. Savanti soldiers moved among the refugees, holding tablet computers. The soldiers would compare each refugee against the data on the tablet screens. At least once every few minutes, they would pull people aside. You've been selected, the soldiers would say as they pulled families apart. Men, women, and children were grabbed and pulled out of the crowd. These unfortunate refugees were force-marched across the starport to a landing strip where 4 Caravaneer ships were waiting. Didn't the administrator say the harbor master has connections with the Triumph? Ino asked. Zane must have struck a deal with them already. And you're next, said Rylan. Those Caravaneers look like they want to talk business. He pointed. A group of 10 aliens were making their way toward the berth where Marathon was docked. Even though they were almost a kilometer away, Ino could see them across the wide-open, empty berth next door to her own vessel. The incoming delegation consisted of 9 aliens and 1 Savanti, Harbor Master Zane herself. Zane was escorting a group of aquatic aliens. Ino recognized them as being Pictlings, a race of diminutive water creatures native to Vindamatrix, a planet on the opposite side of the galaxy from Earth. The Pictlings were chattering excitedly amongst themselves while tapping away at personal tablet computers. "What kind of deal do you think they want to make with us?" Ino said. "I have a hunch," Ryland said grimly. "I'm sure they're about to extract a terrible price for repairing your vessel."
Creeping in my sword's getting out of control. I gotta find my escape, get out of this black hole. Cause justice in the world is hard to find. Time has come, gotta make up my mind. No matter how deep or remote I hide, all my thoughts seem caught up inside. Creeps from the deep's gonna be freaking up your mind. Creeps from the